Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at this next storm system, which is going to be impacting areas into the southeast and south central United States with some pretty good rain and potentially some severe weather along with that. As well, this could be impacting areas into the Great Lakes and northeast, but we really are very uncertain at this moment. We have the GFS and the European model showing two different messages, and they're completely different messages. We're going to try and decode what's going on with the models and help break down what's going on with the models and try and come to a conclusion as to what's going to happen as we get through this video. And today's basically going to be more of a model analysis video instead of a forecast. I'm not going to have any of my snowfall or rainfall forecasts because I'm not confident enough to produce those just yet. So we're going to start off here with the National Weather Service. We have some winter weather advisories, couple winter storm warnings there for areas into Michigan. We also have lake effect snow warnings in those greenish blues there for upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and into areas into northeastern Ohio. We also have some winter weather advisories to the east of those areas, as well as there into northern Vermont. You do have some winter weather advisories. We also have some winter weather advisories if you head down the Appalachians and through eastern Kentucky, southwestern Virginia, southern West Virginia, northern and eastern Tennessee, and into western North Carolina. Now, the areas into eastern Kentucky, southern Indiana, those aren't mountainous. The rest of these regions, as you get into western Virginia, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, these areas are mountainous. But as you get through these areas are not mountainous. So you do have some pretty good Arctic cold air that's pretty well in place over these areas that is producing some snowfall and some wintry weather over those areas. So let's zoom out here and let's look at areas into the west. It is pretty quiet over areas into the west. We do just have some winter storm watches over southern Wyoming and some winter weather advisories over areas in the Cascades of Washington for a couple feet or so of snowfall to come. So here's what the European model is showing as far as its storm system. Now, this can be a storm system that's heading through the middle portion to latter portion of the next week, and we're going to be going over that right now. So the European model has this in multiple phases. It has its first phase or first wave of precipitation move through by Monday. And this is all according to the European model. Of course, it's going to change, and we are a couple days out. Now, we do have this first band, and this is what both the European and the GFS agree with. Now, this is going to be moving to the east, and this would be by Monday night or Monday afternoon, according to the European. And now getting to Monday night, Tuesday morning, move through a little bit of snow for the northernmost parts of Maine, upstate New York, and even there into New Hampshire a little bit. But you see the second wave start to develop. Now, this would be by Tuesday morning, and this is over areas into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys. Now, as we continue this, you see this again moves to the east, brings a little bit of rainfall, but not too much, maybe an inch for some of these areas. And then this really isn't associated with what your storm system would be. This is just a stalled out cold front. You saw this a couple of weeks ago. I'll do this in blue, and this is a stalled out cold front. You saw this a couple of weeks ago. You did have some pretty cold air on the backside of this, and you had a lot of action moving in because you did have that stalled out cold front, which did allow for some precipitation to move through those areas for a couple days, sustained there as well. Now, that would be moving through. That would actually dump a couple of inches of rainfall if that were to occur, but that's not with this system. Now, we'll look quickly at your rainfall totals with this, and you see we have about a half an inch to an inch over many of these areas, really sporadically placed there through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, through areas into Missouri, Kentucky, and southern West Virginia there. And really something that's going to change this a lot is whether you have all this cold air bottled up into the north, and whether this system can actually move to the north. Because as you're going to see, the GFS actually has an opening in this cold air, and it actually slides this system through, rapidly deepens this system, as you do have that high pressure bring a lot of pressure gradients along with that to the north, which is bringing in some cold air. And the GFS definitely doesn't have a snowy scenario. It has a very it does have some snowy scenarios for northern upstate New York, York, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, mainly in the mountainous terrain. But other than that, it's a mainly rain event. But really, something that's going to be interesting with this is how deep how deep this system is going to get, and how bombed out it's really going to get, because it is going to have a lot of potential there to become a very strong system. Now, finally, let's look at your snowfall totals from the European, and then we'll move on to what the GFS is showing. You see a couple of inches there over the northern upstate New York, northern Pennsylvania, northern New Hampshire, and Vermont, as well as Maine area. Other than that, not too much as well. You do see those areas in those winter weather advisories picking up a couple of inches of snowfall, but nothing too crazy there. Now, here's what the GFS is showing as far as its precipitation. So, you see this system starts to really get going. It has this surface low pressure system that's sitting over northernmost Mexico, on the border with Texas there in southernmost Texas. And you see we have this large expanse of some rainfall. Now, the GFS and the European model both are going to switch around a lot, but hopefully as we do get closer to this event, this is only 96 hours out, so this would be about 4 days. Still, a lot can change, but we should be getting better agreement than what we have so far. Really been a disappointing winter in terms of how the models have been performing recently. Now, we do have this large area of rainfall, and you also see a little bit of supercell activity. You can kind of pick out some cells of some pretty heavy rainfall, and that's indicating that you do have a couple of thunderstorms dotted across the area. So you will see over Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Alabama, Mississippi. I do think you will have quite a bit of severe weather with this if this were to play out with the GFS. The GFS and the GEDPS are showing a pretty good big snowstorm or storm system move through this area, which is going to deliver quite a bit of rain and severe weather if those were to play out. So this would be by Tuesday. Now getting to your Wednesday, quite a bit of rainfall, and those reds, oranges, yellows indicating some pretty sustained heavy rainfall over those areas. This would be by Wednesday, and you see a little bit of snow there on the northern end, but really not a lot. Now let's move this back a little bit. You see we have a 998 low pressure system, and this would be by right around midnight on Wednesday, March 4th. Now as we continue this, 997 by 12 or about 6 in the morning or so. And then it rapidly deepens, and you start to see the secondary low pressure start to come in, and you see this big gradient in your isobars. Now your isobars are these gray lines right here, so you can kind of pick them out better over the ocean. But you can see those gray lines; those are your isobars, and that's indicating your pressure. Now you have a large difference in pressure. You have this very deepened low pressure system. 990s as a low pressure system is very, very low, and then you have this high pressure, which is what's been bringing all those systems to kind of move out to the north and west, and really it's been sitting over parts of Florida. Well, now it's moved further to the east, and this is allowing the system to move up the east coast and really deepen. You're also gonna, if this were to occur over this area, have some pretty gusty winds ahead of this system. So you see very scattered rainfall and very heavy rainfall when you do get into one of those bands, according to the GFS model. Back end snowfall, because you do have this very, very cold Arctic attack of air that is going to be moving through. You kind of pick out a trough here that's moving through, and you can definitely tell where your troughing is, and you have some very cold air that's being pushed from the north and west come Thursday. Now this would be, let's get into Friday now, and it's starting to move out, and then you have, according to the GFS, just some back end snowfall, but nothing too crazy there. Now here is what the GFS is putting out as in terms of rainfall. Anywhere in the greens, that's about any amount of rainfall to about half an inch of rainfall, half an inch to 2 inches in the blues, and then 2 to 6 inches in the purples and pinks. And then as you get into the reds, you're about 6 to about 10 inches of rainfall. And you see we have a good area. This I'm gonna outline where you're getting about 2 or more inches according to the GFS. And again, this is gonna change. I'm just making really a model analysis video where I'm just breaking down the models with you guys, and as we get closer to this event, I'll start putting out my rainfall and snowfall forecast if we do actually even get any snowfall with this event, and that'll probably be by Monday, and Tuesday would probably be when I'm making those forecasts on there. Now we also have this little pocket in Tennessee, Kentucky. Both the Canadian and the GFS are showing quite a big storm for those areas in terms of rainfall, where you could pick up over 6 inches according to the GFS. Now I wouldn't count on that right now, and of course this bullseye could move, I would say, even up to 200 miles to the east or west. So definitely a lot of differences that could happen still, and who knows, maybe we could see this run up as a nor'easter. It's really undecided right now. Right now, the most likely outcome, I would say, is that you get a little bit of opening in that cold air, and you can actually get the system squeeze by and move through. And this would also, if this were to occur, you would also need this high pressure that was over Florida and into Bermuda to kind of move out to the east, which you saw when we were looking at the model. So you would also have that to have to play in to this. And the European just doesn't show that. The European keeps that cold air locked in place. It also keeps that high pressure in place. So the European is not showing that, but definitely the GFS is. Now here's what the GFS is putting out in terms of snowfall, and you see just a couple of inches, nothing too substantial. And definitely we'll talk more about snowfall totals if these do verify, and as we do get closer to this event, if it does look more likely for those areas to see some snowfall and also some pretty heavy rainfall. We'll definitely be keeping you updated on the channel. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.